This week on the Digital Marketing Scoop, we've gone back in the archives and found all our content around Facebook ads. So what we've done is we've chopped together loads of clips from lots of different episodes, all with lots and lots of tips around Facebook ads. So if you're running Facebook ads for your business, I really hope you're going to get a lot of value from this week's episode. Enjoy. So this week we're going to be chatting about Facebook ads, which is obviously a fantastic advertising platform that we use quite a bit, and of course encompasses Instagram ads as well. So Jen, if we're looking at like some common mistakes that we see being made on Facebook ads, what are the ones that kind of jump out at you?
I think the first thing is around people's expectations for the most part. I mean, usually people are using Google Ads first or have been, especially businesses that have been there a while, and the AdWords is a great conversion tool, but Facebook works slightly different to that. When people search for you on Google AdWords, they're searching with intent to find something. They're looking directly for you. Whereas with Facebook, you're putting something in front of someone who might like it, and the might being the big word there. So it's good to be conscious of that before you go into it, because just having that kind of nailed down and knowing that can make a difference to how you start the process at least. Yeah.
The way I kind of always describe to clients is Facebook is a great brand builder and a great attention getter. Yeah. And Google Ads is as you say, it's a great conversion tool. So Facebook obviously has a fantastic ad platform. Yeah. And within that platform, you can create audiences of people that you would like to get your content and get your ads in front of. So Pamela, why don't you kick things off there with kind of the first one of the audiences we'll talk about?
Yeah, so there are 4 types. So there's custom audiences, lookalike audiences, saved audiences, and special ads. So custom audiences is basically people you want to reach that have already interacted with your brand in some way. So they may have visited your website, or they've interacted with you on either Instagram or Facebook, or they've visited your app or something like that. So they are already aware of your brand. So it's retargeting them basically and getting in front of them again. And you can create lookalike audiences then of the custom audiences. So once you have this following built up of people who have visited your website, then you can create a lookalike audience of that. So Facebook will determine people who have similar behaviors, and then you can reach out to more people.
Yeah, I mean, look, custom audiences are absolutely amazing, very powerful. A great way as well is using something, particularly in e-commerce, using something like Facebook Catalog. That way, that you can create audiences of people who visited pages of all your specific products. Yes. And when they visit that specific product, obviously, if you with the audience, you can also exclude people. Yeah. So if they bought the product, you can exclude them from seeing the content. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So it's a fantastic way to make sure you're going to be getting that product back in front of the person. Or maybe related products to that one as well. So exactly. if they're interested in product A, they may also be interested in product A, B, and C. Yes, yeah. And of course, another way to use it then is things like upselling. So if you have an audience of people who bought a specific product, the accessories for that product, the different variations maybe that might go with it, you could obviously create an audience then of those customers to get that content and those products and services in front of them. Yeah. So custom audience is absolutely extremely powerful way to get your product and services in front of the right people. And obviously this is all done through the Facebook ads platform, and we say Facebook ads, but that also incorporates Instagram. Yeah. So it is very, very powerful way to get your products and services in front of the right people. As you said, the other audience type you mentioned there is the lookalike audiences. Yeah. So that's where Facebook uses its magic. Yeah. To look at your existing audiences and then say, okay, here are people we feel are extraordinarily similar.
Yeah, exactly.
To them, and we put your products and your services and your content in front of those people.
Yeah. And you can do similarities like percent 1 to 10.
Yes.
So we always use the kind of 1 to 2%.
Keep it close.
Yeah. Because it gets bigger and broader, and then it's kind of, once you get past 4, it's kind of, you know, they're not really that similar anymore, and you're just kind of outreaching.
You're almost gone out more into brand awareness, just reaching lots more people, as opposed to being really kind of laser targeted on your audience. But yeah, I mean, and again with the lookalikes, you can get very granular with those and very niche with those as well. It's like, it's not, I want a lookalike of everybody who visited my website. I want lookalikes of people who were after this specific product, this specific service, and then create your ads for those specific lookalike audiences around those products and services, rather than just being really general with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Now,
so you have to create like a custom audience first, and then the lookalike is of the custom audience.
Exactly.
I actually didn't understand that when I was first doing it. I was like, what? So it's a lookalike of the custom audiences. So kind of get really niche with each custom audience, and then you can make a lookalike of each one.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a great way to start reaching completely new people as well, who should have a very have some affinity to the products or services you're offering, because Facebook is using its data to make sure that their behaviors are exactly. Yeah. So that's custom and lookalike audiences. So they're kind of the two main ways we would use it. Yeah. I absolutely, from e-commerce, it's like amazing.
Brilliant.
It's really, 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 really good. Use Facebook catalog, import your products in, and start building your audiences then with that data. It's a really, really great way to drive e-commerce sales. Yeah,
because the audience builds over time as well. So even if you don't have many followers or visitors to your website now, and you're trying to build that up, make the audience, and the audience will build. Facebook will keep building on it.
Yeah, and I suppose that is one good thing to know as well, that you could create a very specific audience. You're not going to be able to use it right away until it's built up over time, and sometimes depending on your traffic, that might take months.
Yeah, so just build it and
so make sure to set it up. Yeah. To definitely create all your audiences, even if they're not going to be something that you might be able to use for a long time, because your traffic is low. Still set up that audience, create that audience. It's going to be there for you, and it's going to build up over time. I suppose a lot as well with the custom audiences is a lot of it would only be kind of the last 30 days. But you can change that as well.
I think you can do up to 180. Can you?
I think so. Yeah. So
it's a bit long though. Like
it is, especially for a product, that if you haven't, unless there's a really long lead time between your maybe more in the B2B sector where there's a really long lead time between viewing a product and a purchase decision, then it might make more sense to have higher number of days there. But generally in more consumer driven products, you probably don't want that.
No, because you'd be just annoying people.
Exactly. So we've two other kind of types of audiences there. Do you want to jump into the next one?
So saved audiences then. So saved audience is more for prospecting, finding people that you think match your customer base. So that could be their age demographic, their gender, their interests, and you can get really granular on the interests really. I didn't actually realize this, but it's like Facebook knows what people are searching for and what they're interested in. So you could say someone looking for mortgages or something like that. And then they're like interested in just that. So it's really good. It's really specific targeting.
And again, you can create lookalikes off those then as well over time.
Yeah, definitely.
But it is, and it's a really handy way as well of if you're one thing we always say is boosting and things like that, generally you're going to end up just targeting a wide range of people that probably aren't exactly who you want to be in front of. But you could save some really specific audiences. Initially go through the ads manager and save your specific audiences, and that way then if you are your client just pop up on the phone, we put up a post, boost that there. At least if you have some saved audiences,
that's true.
You can incorporate that with the boost to try and make it a bit more specific. As opposed to here everybody look at our ads, which is something.
It's just a waste of money. Really, isn't it?
It absolutely is. Yeah. And lastly, then the last audience they have is special ads. You want to go through that one?
Yeah. So basically, Facebook has certain regulations. So if your ads are about housing, employment or credit, they just make sure that everybody is entitled to see this at, they're all equally allowed to see ads for jobs, have a place to live and have access to credit. So if you are one of those brands that is talking about, renting or credit or, employment and all that, you have to select the special ad or else your ad may be disapproved.
Overall, one of the great things with Facebook is Facebook Catalog, which basically allows you to import your entire catalog of products into Facebook and Instagram for advertising across their platform. So we've had a few questions around this panel. What's the first one off the bat?
So we asked our Instagram followers, did they have any questions about e-commerce and Facebook ads? So one of the questions was, how do I connect my e-commerce site to Facebook?
So if you're on Shopify or if you're on WooCommerce, this is relatively easy to do with WooCommerce, which is what we use here mostly. There is a plugin, and then you literally install that plugin onto your WooCommerce website, and you follow the instructions from it to connect your Facebook account to your website, and also set up your Facebook catalog then, so that with that connection, then all your products, if your stock changes, if your so if a product goes out of stock, obviously you don't want to promote it, it'll pick that up, it'll update your feed either every hour, every 24 hours.
Yeah, you can choose which time you want it to update.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's a really nice way to be able to connect your store to your site. And obviously, as I say, Shopify do it. I'm sure other platforms, I'm sure Magento has one,
BigCommerce, WooCommerce.
Yeah.
I think there's 4 or 5 of them. If you could just go in. So basically, if you go into your business manager, because I don't think people know even where Catalog Manager is sometimes. So if you go into your Facebook Business Manager, and then you can click the options, and there's Catalog Manager, and you'll go in there and you can add a catalog and follow the steps, and you'll be able to set it up that way, and it'll be really
pull in
easy.
all your products. Yeah. And that kind of is really what unleashes the power of e-commerce on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah.
Second question. I've set up a simple e-commerce site on WooCommerce. How can I advertise my products? So the first thing is what we just said. Get them connected. Once they're connected, then within the Facebook ads platform, you can create catalog ads, and like any Facebook ad, it really comes down to your targeting.
Yeah, your audiences, your ads, what is the text in the ads, talking to each audience.
Yeah, and obviously, if everything is set up correctly and been tracked correctly, then you'll have all your e-commerce conversion rates and the value of all your sales within Facebook as well. So once you've created your ads and you have a bit of data, you may find like specific products happen to perform extremely well with specific audiences.
Yeah,
and that's brilliant, and maybe they're the ones to focus on and expanding the product offering around that area and focusing on those audiences, because we actually did a video on this the other day about really getting quite granular, that even if you have a mass market product, you need to get really niche, really granular with your audiences, and creating individual creatives for all those individual audiences. So that goes whether it's e-commerce or not, but definitely with e-commerce you want to do exactly the same. You want to make sure you're getting the right product in front of the right person. Yeah, and the other thing is to make sure you have the Facebook pixel set up on your website, so that you can start creating custom audiences, start tracking the conversions, because you can do there's amazing things you can do, like if you have an e-commerce site, you can track all the people who've purchased off your site, and then tell Facebook, okay, now go find me and show my ad to more people like the people who've already purchased my products. Yeah,
and Facebook Pixel, I mean, if you're new to it, sometimes it can be a tricky thing to set up. It's kind of like, there's code and there's this and there's that and the other. But realistically, when it comes down to it, you can pop it into Google Tag Manager, set it up there. Now Facebook will give you the standard events to track, like your page views and these little things and purchasing and stuff. But if you have kind of, say, this button that you absolutely need tracked, I mean, there's ways of doing that as well. What I might do during the week is I'll put out a little kind of guide on Facebook Pixel for anyone listening to take a little look at. but it's great. But don't be afraid of it just because you don't see the answer to what you want to track straight off. There's so many ways of custom tracking everything.
Yeah, and there's some WordPress plugins as well that can
Yeah.
kind of, especially if you're on WooCommerce, if your website's built on WordPress with WooCommerce, that can automatically track the whole customer journey throughout for you, and automatically create the audiences of all your customers who've purchased your products.
Yeah, exactly. And those are the vital things to be tracking then for your next stage of marketing when you're remarketing. And the Facebook Pixel has tracked your audiences, and that's great as well. You can segment out again then from there.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So essentially, what the Facebook Pixel is it's a tracking tool essentially. So it's a little piece of code that you can put on your website, and it is vital for any business that's running Facebook or Instagram adverts. I mean, even if you're just boosting posts, little things, it's so important because it can give you so much data. But as well as that, it kind of holds your data for a little bit of time anyway, especially if you want to do any form of remarketing. The Pixel is where that comes in, and it's really, really important. You won't be able to do remarketing without it.
Yeah. And as well, in terms of if you're, especially if you're doing like stuff like e-commerce, Pixel is just massively important for remarketing, because you can start remarketing on each individual product, where you are in the sales funnel and all that. And we'll kind of jump into that maybe in a minute. So I suppose the first thing to do is, okay, how do you get the Facebook Pixel set up on your website? So there's a couple of different ways. Basically, when you set up your ad account with Facebook, they'll give you a snippet of code, and that kind of goes into the header of your website. But if you're using WordPress, there's lots of different plugins you can use to set up and install the Facebook Pixel. I know one we've used here would be Pixel Your Site.
I always use header footer.
Yeah,
it's really good.
That's actually a really handy tool for injecting any code into the header and footer. And of course, Google Tag Manager as well. If you have Google Tag Manager set up on your website already, Facebook actually literally with a click of a button, it'll pretty much set up the pixel for you on your website.
I think for me, I'd always recommend Google Tag Manager because most websites need custom conversions and custom events and stuff, and it's just so easy to manage everything in one place. I'm a big fan of Google Tag Manager.
Yeah, so it is. I think that's where we're actually going to go a bit more in depth on Google Tag Manager in the next podcast. But yeah, it is a nice way to set it up.
Yeah.
So in terms of, okay, why do you need the Facebook Pixel? For the most basic, the most important function of it for me is conversion tracking.
Yeah.
So you know if your ads are working. So if you're doing e-commerce, are people buying your products? If they are, which ads are they buying them from? If you're generating leads, if you're form fill outs, click to call tracking, all those types of conversions you can track with the Facebook Pixel, and it'll show you in your stats then which ads generated those conversions, which demographics, which targeting, all those different options that can really over time you can really optimize your advertising. And you can't do that unless you have the Facebook Pixel installed.
Yeah, and with the conversion tracking especially, I mean, sometimes it's people just assume that it's just the form fill out or it's the buy now button and these kind of things. Those are the big things that kind of everyone has on their website. But there's lots of things you can track. I mean, do you have a call now button? Do you have if you have a page with a lot of information on it, you could set up a pixel that triggers when there's a timer of 2 or 3 minutes on a page. You have to just think about what you want for that page or whatever page you want to track or whatever page your advert is being redirected to, and just kind of go, what are all of the key things on this page that I want to know that someone did to know that my ad worked. And that's where the Facebook Pixel comes in a huge way. It's perfect for it. Yeah.
Yeah, you made a very good point there. It depends on the page, what the KPI, what that key performance indicator is going to be. If you're a page with long form content, then okay, are people actually reading the content? Are they spending time on the page?
Exactly.
As opposed to maybe, as you say, click to call or some other action. But that's basically what you do with the Pixel. You can track all those different actions.
Like a great example is even just our podcast. I mean, on our page, we have a timer essentially, because that's one of the best. Yeah, if people are on the page for longer than 3 or 4 minutes, we can assume that they've probably clicked play.
Yeah.
You know?
Hopefully.
You better have.
So video, as always, in pretty much every conversation, video, not using video.
It's mad that a lot of people still aren't using video, but at the same time, it's a huge costly investment. It's a cost investment and it's a time investment. But if you do it right, it is so worthwhile. Like in our podcast there about repurposing content, that's probably the best way for most businesses to go about it, is to get someone out to video for a day, do a lot of long shots, do little snippets here and there, and just make sure, really think smart when you're doing your business. You're thinking about your video. How can you chop it up afterwards into smaller videos, things like that. If you think smart with it, you'll get so much more run for your money from getting your videos done as well.
Yeah. Plus, the live feature as well. So live video, doing live video on Facebook, they just show it to a lot more people. You just get a lot more reach, really, when you go live.
Yeah.
So it's well worth doing that as well. And a good way to do it is just little tips for people. So if you're in a business where you can help people, start your live video.
Yeah, exactly.
Do quick 2, 3, 4 minutes live video. Here's how to do this, or here's how this can help you.
Yeah.
And you'll have instant reach, and a lot more reach than if you just posted it on the page as well.
Yeah. And don't be afraid of it. Just give it a go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can always take it off the page afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. Just delete it.
But I really love the strategy of building that confidence with the customer, especially now where there's so many businesses have obviously gone e-commerce, they've gone online. You need to stand out from the crowd.
Yeah.
And a really great way of doing that is building that confidence with the customer testimonials, walkthroughs, product reviews. Use the business owner talking about your business, talking about the experience customers have.
Yeah.
If someone's seeing that content really, really regularly, you're building a strong connection with them, and you can use the Facebook ads platform to make sure that content is getting in front of the right people.
Yeah, and on that note, when you're doing all of these videos, showing, the products and all of those great things, you can actually make an audience of people who've watched a certain amount of the videos. So clearly, if they've watched more than, say, 50%, 75%, something like that, they're way more engaged. So you want to retarget them then, because they have they've established an understanding of your brand, so they'd be more interested. So it's great then to retarget them with ads that are kind of pushing them further down the sales funnel then.
Definitely. Yeah. There's already a lot of engagement there already. So there's obviously a lot of interest in the brand. Probably confidence has started to build in your brand and in what you do. So that could certainly be a time then to make sure you're using something like Facebook catalog, for example, to get the right products in front of them.
Yeah, exactly. And another one actually is it's good if you have a really engaged following on either Facebook or Instagram. You can retarget people who've engaged with your posts in the last number of days. And I find that works well with particular brands. If they have a really loyal following, say Makeup Now Again or something, there's all these girls who absolutely love these makeup brands and they're following them, liking all their pictures. So then that's a great time to retarget those people who are liking all the photos and being like, here's a little offer here for you.
Definitely. And those people are people who who are engaging with your brand, who love your brand. They've already engaged with it. So this is a great way to be able to get back in front of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely. I mean and it is about that mix of, getting the right content in front of people who don't know who we are, but then getting the right content in front of the people who do know who we are and turning them from browsers into customers.
Exactly. Yeah. So the content that you make is really specific to the audience you're targeting as well. I find sometimes people can make one piece of content and then they're like, okay, we can send that to all the retargeting audiences and all the broad audiences, and we'll just send it out there. We'll just get loads of views and that'll be perfect.
Yeah.
But it's actually about creating specific content for each audience. So having a really good content strategy before you kind of begin all the ads is really important as well.
Definitely. So hope that was helpful in terms of you using Facebook ads. I would definitely say before you dive in, okay, understand your customers, break down your products. Do not be promoting all your products to all the people or all your services to all the people. You need to understand where each product and each service belongs in your targeting strategy, basically. And I would avoid the boost button. If you put
Yes.
a post out on Facebook and you just decide I'm going to boost this out to a fairly generic audience, I would avoid that. Use a Facebook ads manager. Try and get really specific with your audiences. It's worthwhile digging into because you'll get a much better return on your ad spend, and your product and your services and your content will actually be getting in front of the people who have a real interest in what you're offering.
Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode of the Digital Marketing Scoop. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't subscribed yet, please jump into your Apple Podcasts, your Google Podcasts, Spotify, whatever your favorite podcast platform is, and just make sure to follow and subscribe. Also, if you'd like to leave a review if you enjoyed the episode, I'd absolutely love for you to do that. We put out an episode every single week, all with digital marketing tips, case studies, ways to build your business with digital marketing. Also, if you are interested in bringing your own business online or looking at scaling your business, we'd love to chat with you here at CLIQ. You can visit us online at CLIQ.ie.